Close the door and sit down. This is Felicity Was Here. Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe.
And today we're discussing Felicity Season 2, Episode 12, The Slump. Hello, ladies. How's everyone doing?
Good.
To quote Felicity, I'm fine.
I'm okay. It's okay. Everything's fine.
Mhm.
Sorry. This is going to be a rough one. This is intense.
Oh,
This episode.
okay.
No?
Fight,
No?
fight.
It was very emotional. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It felt like Season 1 emotional again.
Mm-hmm. I think that's because, this stuff about her parents, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of Season 1, and we didn't see that as much at the beginning of this season, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're back from the Twilight Zone episode, but the one before that, Great Expectations. As a reminder, we had Felicity find out that her mom and dad are separating. So Dr. Porter's coming to live and teach in New York City while Barbara is staying in Palo Alto. Ben also found out that the swim team was cut by the university. So Felicity and Ben broke into the pool with a few beers to let off some steam, but got caught by security. So for this episode, called The Slump, as we know, the term sophomore slump is when your second year doesn't really live up to the first, or in very academic settings, they say that you're just not as motivated as the first year, like all the work that you put into school and everything in your sophomore year, you don't see the payoff like you did freshman year. And I actually thought this was kind of a cool nod because, yes, it relates to college, but it also relates to TV and TV series and even music albums. People always talk about their sophomore album wasn't as good, or their sophomore season wasn't as good. And I was like, is this like JJ and Matt Reeves' way of saying okay, we get it. Season 2 hasn't been good. It's been a sophomore slump. We're going to reset. I don't know. It just felt like an interesting time to call it the slump because it's midway through the season. But this one was actually written by JJ and directed by Matt Reeves. So I'm like, maybe that's why this does feel like a good reset to season 2. Like they're getting back to writing and directing and it feels more like season 1 again. I don't know. Curious your thoughts.
Maybe also the slump in their marriage.
Mm.
It seems they've hit a slump. Maybe a long slump.
Oh, yeah.
A long time coming slump.
And Noel and Ruby have a bit of a slump.
I took it as she was saying in the episode, I don't know who I am anymore. It's kind of like she's lost herself.
Is a slump more of a stagnation, though? It's like a bleh?
More than a plateau or step. To me, it's even a step back, a slump, you're going down into a valley almost. But yeah, she's definitely disillusioned now by even just UNY. She's ready to leave with Ben. So yeah, I think I like that there could be multiple meanings here. We also get the first appearance of Dr. Tony Pavone, played by the very recognizable character actor Amy Aquino. And I feel like Dr. Pavone, kind of replaces Sally as Felicity's moral compass / mentor / advice giver throughout the series. We did get Sally's voice last week on Help for the Lovelorn as the narrator, but we don't really get much of Sally's advice anymore. And I feel like Pavone kind of steps in that role. Very different vibe from Sally, though.
Do we not get any more Sally tapes? Was it? Or I can't remember.
Is there one more or a couple more maybe
I'll
in the last season?
I'll keep track as I keep watching, as I always keep saying too. I try not to watch too far or rewatch too far ahead.
Yeah.
Otherwise I get things mixed up when we record. So I don't know if we get her voice back. Obviously she's taping something to Sally in this episode, but yeah, I don't know if we hear Janine Garofalo again.
Sad.
Which is a weird transition to go from her narrating last week to then nothing. I still want to know what happened. Where did she go? Why did they write her off? Or did she have a conflict? I want to know what happened to Sally still. And then the other first appearance in this episode is Tracy, who's played by a post-Clueless but pre-Scrubs Donald Faison. And I think he's a breath of fresh air in this show.
Yes.
He just brings such a cool energy.
Love Tracy. Finally, Elena gets to interact with a dude who's not an old man.
Aw. He's not grooming her. Oh, man. All right, so let's dive into it. We open with Felicity recording to Sally. She says, "Dear Sally, I'm in trouble." Automatically go to an office. We get this very operatic music, and we see a chain-smoking woman instead of Papaleo, who Felicity is looking for. We find out that this is Dr. Tony Pavone, and she's taking over for Papaleo while he's on leave, I think indefinitely. So she's like, "Well, I was here to see Papaleo." She's like, "Oh, well, then you're here to see me now. So who are you?" She says, "I'm Felicity Porter." She's like looking through her file, says, "Oh, yeah, you're in trouble. Sit down." Close the door and sit down. So she asks Felicity why she broke into the pool. Felicity's like, "It was just this stupid, immature thing. We're very, very sorry." And Pavone says that they have a zero tolerance policy at the school. So in addition to whatever punishment is bestowed upon you, you're also going to need to start alcohol counseling. Then Ben shows up late and with a smirk and says that, Pavone says that he's also in trouble. He needs to shut the door and sit down. This kind of reminded me when they were robbed on Halloween and like he didn't go looking at the perp photos, didn't go down to the station with Felicity, or he was late, or, left early. I don't know. Dr. Joe, I'm curious, is that does he have issues with authority? Is it just he doesn't take things seriously, or he just wants to run from any problems? What do you think? Why is he late? Why does he not care to do any of this?
Maybe because of the alcohol treatment part and his father's alcoholism. His father's issues with drinking. Maybe he doesn't want to see himself the way he sees his father. Like, he doesn't want to identify with him that way, and that'll feel too close to that.
That makes sense. So then Felicity tells Sally that if her parents were ever going to break up, this is really the best possible time for that to happen. She says, imagine if this had happened years ago, she probably would have lost her mind and obsessed over it. But now it just doesn't affect her. She said her life is basically just the same. I think brilliant from Matt Reeves. We see a bunch of slow motion scenes of her in her life, at class, at Epstein with her friends, and at Dean and DeLuca, where she's just staring off into space, looking very much affected by everything going on. I thought that was a brilliant, I don't even know what to call it. Just brilliant scenes, brilliant shots.
Yes. Hard agree.
Cool. So at Dean and DeLuca, Ben says, "You know what? Screw Tony Pavone." He's basically pissed that he has to do this alcohol counseling, and Pavone stinks like an ashtray. Felicity says, "Well, we have to go." Ben's like, "No, we don't. College is optional." He's like, "They already took away swimming, so what's the point in really staying?" So then Dr. Porter drops by and talks to Felicity. He's trying to plan where they're going to have dinner because Barbara's coming into town now. He seems very sad in the whole scene. Very sad. But then, Felicity offers to get him coffee, and she's looking sad too, and Ben sees her looking sad.
Did anyone notice how emotional that look was that Ben gave to her when he saw her being sad? It was like the sexiest moment of the episode for me. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, he sees her. Because she wasn't
so hot.
Right. She wasn't crying or overly upset, but he could just tell by looking at her face that she was, going through something. And the look he gave back to her was just so empathetic. I love that.
Yeah, and because he already knew something was up, because she's like, yeah, let's talk about other stuff when they were swimming. So he's got some hints that something's not totally right. So the fact that he's even more sensitive to that and kind of keeping an eye on her and noticing when she's a little bit off. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I thought for sure your hottest was going to be one of the basketball playing scenes. And he's got his little beanie and his.
Oh my God, no! He's always at that dumb basketball court.
Okay,
the whole episode he's there.
I know.
What's hotter than a dude being aware of emotions?
Yes.
What's funny is I think that all the basketball court stuff was probably filmed in Burbank instead of New York City,
yeah.
Which I think is funny because it looks very New York. Then we go to Noel's classroom, which is just letting out, and Noel goes up to Ruby. She tells him he's doing so much better. Just can't let go. But he asks her why she put hi Noel on her supposed anonymous test or essay. She's like, "What do you mean? We say hi all the time." He's like, "Yeah, but now I know that paper is yours and it's supposed to be anonymous. You said no special treatment, and now I know that this one is yours. And so now it's not just a paper or test, but now it's my girlfriend's test." Ruby says, well, that's an easy fix, and she leaves. I think Noel's right here, but we don't have to start.
Do you want me to say he's wrong? Are you like...
No, I'm just waiting. I'm not baiting you. I don't...
She is. Like, obviously, that was stupid. Ruby's a dingbat. I don't... Of course that was dumb of her.
Also, if anyone else found out that she did that, she could probably be in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from the start said that he should go and tell someone there's a conflict of interest having his girlfriend in his class. I don't even think he should have her in the class, but...
Well, yeah, that's why I had said before at the time when that got brought up, it depends on if he's actually grading anything. And they could work around that by it being anonymous, which she violated, so she's a fucking idiot.
Then we go back to Pavone's office, and Felicity is sitting there awkwardly. She tells Pavone that this is a waste of time. She's like, I don't drink. Pavone's like, it says here you drank. She's like, yeah, I drank, but I don't drink. She said she was just blowing off steam. And Pavone asks, where did the steam come from? She tells her that she found out her parents are splitting up, but it's not that big of a deal. It happens to everyone, right? Pavone's like, no, it doesn't. But Felicity says it'll be fine. They're having dinner tonight. She's like, look, I get it. You want me to say something revelatory, but look at my record. Like, I don't do this kind of thing usually. But Pavone gets up, fishes out her framed degree. She's like, look at this. She went to Yale. She's like, I'm a real pro. I'm a therapist with a license. So when you're ready to come, when you're ready, come back and we can talk. So then at dinner with her parents, Felicity tells Sally that she caught a glimpse of her parents in their intimate life and it's uncomfortable. She imagines that it's what it's like if you were to catch your parents having sex, which I think is a weird comparison. But as she's walking into the restaurant, she sees her mom and dad sitting at the dinner table together, but not talking, not even looking at each other, not even really facing each other. So that's what she has to look forward to. That's not a good sign.
Maybe that I never caught them having a sex thing is speaking to the larger issue of they probably didn't have a lot of intimacy in their relationship. Like, that wasn't, like, something she'd have to ever worry about because maybe they weren't very lovey-dovey ever. They seem, like, nice and functional as a couple enough, but, like, maybe weren't, like, they love each other, but they're not in love. And, like, all over each other all the time. Like, there's other TV parents that are more into each other, I've seen examples of that. So I think that's probably just speaking to, like, that's not a thing that I would see. Like, besides it being kind of a weird comparison. But that makes me just think that they weren't very close. Ever.
Yeah, that could be. So then she is sitting at dinner with her parents, and they're talking about the fact that there's a dinner, it's like a special awards type dinner for her dad later in the week where they're honoring him. So they're all going to go to that dinner, and they're trying to make small talk. What are you going to order? Felicity, what are you going to order? But Felicity then starts crying unprompted. So Barbara, of course, asks her what's wrong. She says nothing. It's okay. I'm fine. But Dr. Porter chimes in and says he told her what was going on. It was an accident. It slipped. Felicity's trying to make it better. She says it's okay. But Barbara's like, it's not okay. And then starts arguing with Dr. Porter because he wasn't supposed to let it slip. And so while they're arguing, Felicity's just kind of sitting there crying, which is very sad. So after the dinner, she goes back to Pavone's office, asks if she can talk. And Pavone says, close the door, sit down. I just love that that's like her saying now. It's like, close the door, sit down. You're going to get some wisdom from her.
That usually feels pretty intimidating, though. I remember I think there's a Mad Men episode named that. It's like something like that. They say that. And it's like, it's very serious. It was pretty serious in general, but that series of episodes around that arc was like intense. So every time I hear that, I think about Mad Men, and that's like, you're in trouble.
It does feel like going to the principal's office or something. Like, close the door, sit down.
Well, she literally does the first word she says, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Like, when she realizes who she is, and then she says it to Ben again, too. It's like, oh, shit.
This is like the third time she said it. I love it.
Yeah. It's ominous.
Yes. So Felicity tells Dr. Pavone that she doesn't know who she is anymore, how she got here, what she's doing, why she's here. She's been in relationships she doesn't understand. She hates her haircut, dropped pre-med like it was some kind of victory, and can't even remember why it felt like that. And she says sorry. Dr. Pavone says, don't be sorry. It's okay. Yeah. Like, I don't know why you're sorry for telling a therapist your problems. Like, that's what they're there for.
It happens all the goddamn time. People apologize all the time. They apologize for saying things. They apologize for crying about what they said. It's quite prevalent.
Well, Anne shows, like, she's a people pleaser. She's trying to
Yes.
make everyone happy. It's like, oh, sorry, I don't want to put you out. Or,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's very realistic.
yeah.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit.
I bet a lot of this rings true, huh?
Not all of it, though.
No? Oh, okay. Felicity says she just didn't realize how much she depends on her parents, them just being there. So Dr. Pavone asks if she said any of this to them. But Felicity says she just let them talk, that they said they were having difficulties, and it was all for the best. Then Felicity says that she feels responsible. She disrupted things by coming here, pushing them away. She says if she hadn't left Palo Alto, hadn't been so selfish, they'd probably still be together. Pavone asks why it was selfish. She says, why did you come here? Felicity says, well, she came because Ben came here. Ben Covington came here. And, at first, that's what she thought, but then she thought it was maybe for her, maybe she'd find herself or something. But she says she just doesn't understand with her parents. At Thanksgiving, they came and they looked so happy. Well, relatively speaking, as much as anyone can. She was home for Christmas and everything seemed fine. So she doesn't understand. Which makes sense because, it feels harsh to say they were lying to her, but they were. So but we discussed the timing of it was weird. It was like, everything's fine at Christmas and 2 weeks later, we're going to come and tell you this. It was weird timing. So.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were lying, like, to each other and themselves and to Felicity. Everything's been a lie.
Yeah. So then we see Ben is shooting hoops and Felicity stops by to tell him that he's going to get expelled if he doesn't see Dr. Pavone. And he's still thinking about dropping out, though, and now going to Prague because there's some sort of carrier ticket, I think. You can go really cheap, but it's all last minute. You can only bring one bag, but he's like, oh, yeah, I might go to Prague. And Felicity says she should probably go with him. Said he would do it if she does it, but Felicity's skeptical and leaves. She says, go see Dr. Pavone. Ben's like, no, let's drop out together. She's like, go see Dr. Pavone. But he's, trying to persuade her to drop out and go to Prague. Ben again, trying to persuade her to go on a big trip.
Mm-hmm.
You had your
Without
chance,
thinking
Ben.
about, not really thinking about what it would mean or anything. Just flying by the seat of his pants.
Does what he wants. Yeah, I mean, he's a, 19, 20-year-old guy.
If you're going to fly by the seat of your pants, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Prague sounds pretty nice.
I know. With Ben, let's go.
Hell
why not?
yeah.
So then at the dorm, Noel goes to see Ruby to apologize. He says he's an ass, that her essay was fantastic. It was one of the best in the class. So, of course, it was stupid of him to say, to think that her paper wouldn't be good without him giving her special treatment. But she says it doesn't matter, and she has to go get ready for Costumes of Tsarist Russia, which I thought she did last semester, but maybe it's part 201 of Tsarist Russia costumes. So she was pretty cold. And at this point, it's, what's going on here with Ruby and Noel? Because it didn't seem like that big of a deal, the high Noel, but we'll see. So then Elena, Felicity, and Julie are all hanging out in Felicity's room, and Elena says that her new lab partner, is a real problem. Apparently, he is way too cute, and she's going to get no work done. I guess she thought Tracy would be a girl, but Tracy's a very adorable guy. So as they're chatting, Dr. Porter stops by to talk to Felicity, so Elena and Julie leave. He sits down and lets her know that he found out about her shenanigans at the pool. So she says she doesn't really know what the punishment is yet, and he's upset. He said he was embarrassed because, the other dean or Dean Allison or whomever, told him about it, and he looked, silly because he hadn't heard about it yet. So they're kind of fighting a little bit, but Felicity's just like, I don't know anything yet. I'm sorry it was stupid, but, I'll deal with it. Then Dr. Porter tells her that Barbara isn't going to come to his little awards dinner and that, she doesn't get out there often. She doesn't get to spend time with Felicity very often. So Felicity should go with Barbara that night and not come to the dinner. So we're already seeing what it might be like to have divorced parents and you go this way, no, you go there, and you're kind of in between two different feuding parties. So that's got to be tough.
Yeah. Also, her not telling him or them earlier is really a reflection of how they didn't tell her stuff when they could have. You know, she's doing the same behavior that was modeled to her.
Yeah. And there was, not saying she was doing it altruistically, like she said at the end, like, oh, my dad's in trouble too, but there is a lot going on already. So it's like, here's another big bomb to drop. I don't know. It's the timing.
But they
is
could
bad.
say that too. They could say, oh, well, you were, you know, like, we didn't want to divorce when you were in middle school or when you were still in high school, or we didn't want to tell you at Christmas because we didn't want to ruin your vacation. So you can always make those excuses. It's, you know, that's what she's doing, the same exact thing that they did.
Yep. That's fair. So then at the spa, Barbara and Felicity are getting like full body wraps. It looks very luxurious, but it's very tense. Barbara tells Felicity no, she should go with her dad to that awards dinner. Otherwise, she'll never hear the end of it because he, I guess, loves these dinners and will blame Barbara if Felicity doesn't go. So then Felicity says she's sorry. Barbara's like, for what? She's like, for everything. So yeah, apologizing again. I don't know for what.
Whoa.
So
Classic move.
Yeah. Expand.
Oh, I'm just thinking about patients again who over-apologize when it's like straight up inappropriate to apologize. Like it's completely not a thing to apologize for, the over-apologizing.
In this case, I thought it was, if she had said something like, Mom, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this divorce and like that you haven't been happy. But the way she does say it, it kind of implicates that she's like apologizing for herself. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a part of that. So it doesn't work in that way. But I could totally see myself.
You could be like, I'm sorry this is happening to you or that you're going through this. But like, she didn't say that. She was like, I'm sorry for everything. Like everything you did, what did you do?
Yeah.
She's trying to fix it.
Yeah.
It's like when Kevin McAllister's like, I'm sorry. Like he's trying to make him like the problem go away. It's like, no, you're still in trouble. This punishment's still happening.
I love that.
Like she's trying to like, I'm sorry. It's like, oh, okay, we're a family again. We forgive you. Like, can't fix that.
But forgive her
your
for
apology
what?
to make.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing. It's a very immature approach to handling this. And even her being like, oh, it's my fault. It's like, that's what little kids say. You know, it's like, oh, my parents, you know, are getting divorced because I failed my math class in 5th grade. You know, like, no, you're a kid. It has nothing to do with you. And I like that she admits that she didn't realize how much she depended on them and having them around. Like, I like Felicity the most in this episode. Up to this point in the season, I like her the most in this one.
She's being real and honest.
Yes, finally, fucking finally. That's, well, it was like the things were clicking while I was watching this, and I have another little theory that I'll drop on you later at the end.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So at Pavone's office later, even she is astounded that Felicity apologized to them. Pavone asks Felicity if she's pissed off about any of this. She says, no, just tense. Like, really? You're not angry at all? She's like, well, not everyone gets angry. Pavone says, yeah, many people who are repressed and out of touch insist they're just tense. She says, it'd be nice to see who you really are under there. This whole polite act that you do. She says, first of all, you're not sorry. Second, you said you don't know who you are. So how would you know if you're tense or not angry or whatever? She asks her, again, like, why are you here? Why did you come here? You're too smart to have followed a boy and too screwed up to not be a little bit angry. She's like, well, I'm not. She's like, well, why not? Why aren't you angry? Your whole life, you've been their centerpiece, your parents' centerpiece. They make you think everything is normal. Then, you know, your dad spills the beans to you when he shouldn't, doesn't tell his wife that he told you and put this huge burden on you. Then your mom finds out and she's furious with him and you're put right in the middle. It's this new sporting event, martyr ball, and they have the sticks and you're the puck and you're telling me you're not angry? Felicity still doesn't really say. She still doesn't say it. And she's like, well, then how does it feel to be the good little girl all the time? Because it's annoying as hell to watch. You sitting there like a Cupid doll, denying what you're going through. Felicity says, okay, I am angry. I'm pissed off. She says, everything's screwed up. My mom's leaving, and I don't understand why. My dad is moving here, and I don't want him here. And Pavone has these like little like confirmation that like her little like, yeah, of course you don't. Like, my dad's moving here. I don't want to hear. Of course you don't. Like, she's doing these little, like, yeah. Like, I love the little affirmations under her breath, kind of.
Validating.
Yeah. And Felicity says, and I'm mad at the position my parents have put me in. Yeah, I'm mad. I'm a little pissed off. Pavone says, good.
I just had to look up what a Cupid doll is. Didn't know.
That was an old reference even in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think that was like a doll in the 60s.
Yep.
I got chills watching it, and I got chills even as you were reading it now. I was like, oh, that was so exciting. It was okay.
It was very intense.
Yes.
I love that, yes, she finally admitted what she was feeling, because obviously she is repressed. I would love to hear an actual real life therapist's point of view. I feel like the insulting someone to like get a rise out of her on purpose, that's kind of an interesting tactic to get someone to admit that they're angry instead of just like, I don't know, asking questions or saying like, well, do you think you could be? I don't know. I figured it's for the drama of the show, but I'm like, I don't know if that's effective.
Yeah, it's definitely theatrical and not entirely realistic. And there are therapeutic orientations that are intentionally more confrontational and kind of focusing more on personal responsibility and like ownership. So I think she would potentially fall into one of those categories, but she's not like that all the time. I specifically watched every therapy, like I just fast forward and watched them in succession. She wasn't like that all the time, every time.
Yeah.
She was just in that one session. The rest of the time, she was pretty passive and just observant and reflecting back.
Very caring.
Because she is. She does care about her. She is on Felicity's side. And I think this was a heightened way to provoke, like, yeah, you're supposed to be angry. Like, why wouldn't you be? Because anger is a valuable emotion. It's informative. And it lets you know when boundaries have been crossed, for example, which Felicity's boundaries were crossed by her parents multiple times in multiple ways. And for her not to be angry about that herself, it's Dr. Pavone cared more about those boundary violations than Felicity was allowing herself to care about them. So pushing her to access that was important. And she was calmer the rest of the episode after that. There weren't more montages of her staring off into space like fucked up, you know? Like she was smiling afterwards when she was having conversations with people. So she was less checked out than she had been before. And more present, more authentic, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm with both of you, though. I feel like I probably would have cried if someone spoke to me like that in therapy, especially a therapist that I like just met like the day before.
Well, and she
was
already crying after after being with their parents.
Yeah. Maybe if they had like many more sessions prior to this and had built up a relationship. But yeah, I kind of agree. It's a little intense, but maybe she just knew that that's what she needed.
Yeah, I would say that because this is like a 42-minute episode or something. We're not going to watch Felicity in therapy for years or months or even weeks.
No.
So they had to fast track that with the scene. Otherwise, I don't think it would have gone that way, but I think it had to for the purpose of the show's narrative.
And we do get plenty of sessions already with her and Pavone where she's just like, everything's fine.
Right.
I'll be okay. It'll be okay. We're going to dinner. It's going to be fine. Like, what is dinner? Like, dinner's not going to make things fine. Or just tell it, like, it's okay to be mad if you are. I don't know. Like, that piece.
She, I think, tried to do that, but I don't think Felicity believes that until she gets pushed and she does have that eruption. I don't think it would be enough to just be like, hey, it's okay to be mad. Like, she wouldn't believe that. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Like, you know, it's like, that's not enough to just give somebody permission. She, in this case, had to nudge her. I wouldn't do that in real life, but for the sake of the growth of the character, she had to nudge her that way.
And that's all. I'm like, I get that it's for TV and the things that were said probably wouldn't be said in that way. And she was also kind of yelling at her, like her voice was raised, and blah, blah, but I also think it was really apparent once Pavone like listed, they did this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and it was like, well, yeah, when you put it all together like that, like, yeah, this fucking sucks. So I think that was really smart. Like, who wouldn't be upset if all of these things happen in a row?
And yet she still didn't grab onto that and say, yes, I am pissed, until she insulted her, unfortunately.
I know.
It would have been cool if that's all it took.
Yeah.
But she did have to get pounded a little bit harder before she would break.
Yeah.
It would have been great if it stopped there and she did admit it. Yeah, that is fucked up. But she still didn't take the bait. So Pavone pushed her further.
Because she's a good little girl. So.
And Pavone identified that. And
I know.
They moved forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If a therapist said that it's annoying to watch me, I probably wouldn't go back.
I don't think most therapists would do that. I don't think that's not standard protocol
for TV
kind of stuff. Yeah, that was definitely for TV. But if you're curious, the closest thing that I would relate that to, it reminded me of Gestalt therapy. So if you want to Google Gestalt therapy, knock yourself out and find out more about that.
Oh my!
If you want to see Gestalt therapy in action,
sounds German, which makes a lot of sense. Actually,
yeah. Nein.
And I can say that I'm half German.
Yeah, if you want to see more about that, there's these demonstration videos called the Gloria videos, or the Gloria films, whatever. It's this one patient named Gloria, and she meets with 3 different therapists who have completely different styles. And one of them is Gestalt, and it's very confrontational, and it is hard to watch, but it's interesting. You know, she was able to get real and identify some stuff. So
wow,
it's not for everybody. It's not a good fit for every therapist to be that way, and it's not a good fit for every patient to receive a therapist. You know, it has to be something that a patient would respond well to. It's definitely not for everybody.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
the tough love of therapy.
It's not just tough love. It's observing, like, oh, you're smiling, but you said like that made you really mad. Like, why are you smiling when you say that? Or, you know, do you notice you're shaking your foot as you say that? Are you aware that, you know, you look nervous basically? Like, you know, like, are you aware of how much you're fidgeting right now? Just kind of bringing attention to the present and more awareness of what they're saying and doing and how sometimes those things don't match up. Or leaning into exaggerated movements. Like if somebody was bouncing their leg, they might say like, bounce it even harder. Like, what is that feeling happening? So it's really, it's a kind of theatrical way to do therapy. So her approach reminded me of that. But it would be like that constantly. I think she was more sensitive and empathetic and validating and affirming and all that stuff. All the rest of the time, except for that one
she wanted
part
the breakthrough
of that one session. Yeah, she wanted the breakthrough, and the writers needed us to not watch Felicity be in therapy for 3 years. So
okay.
So that's what happened.
So then at Dean and DeLuca, Ben tells Felicity that he's been doing research about their trip. Now he's looking at Vienna instead of Prague, and they're talking about maybe getting a Eurail pass, just go all over Europe. Felicity's like, yeah, we can't really do it, though, because of our history. He's like, what, because we dated, we can't go on a trip? But he says, or asks Felicity if she's even happy here, because he doesn't think she is, because he's been watching her at work.
Yeah, he has.
He's like, look, we could be in Europe, no more stinky Dr. Pavone. Then she decides to tell him that her parents are splitting up. He says he didn't know that. He's sorry. It's like, well, yeah, how would you know that? She didn't tell you. So he's sorry now. But yeah, she says that it's fun thinking about the trip, though. It's like the most fun that she's had throughout all of this. But she's just not where he's at yet with dropping out and going backpacking across Europe.
Interesting how she's ready to face reality after that therapy session. She's not running away anymore, or not even entertaining the idea of running away. She doesn't have to run away.
Yeah, yet, right now. Yeah.
Interesting how that therapy session falls apart in about 2 scenes.
Yeah. When I think more stuff happens. Oh, yeah. Because she probably thinks she shouldn't exist. Oh, boy. All right. So, because they only got married because she was pregnant with Felicity. So she feels like it is her fault now.
That's their freaking fault for getting married, though. Like, that's still their choice.
Like,
I know.
I'm just saying, like,
thing to
that
think.
then sets her off by wanting to leave again because that's what she thinks. But
all right,
it is her fault.
We're not
now.
there yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying she's right. I'm saying that's what she's thinking. So then at Noel's apartment, Elena and Tracy are there listening to Noel. He's pacing around saying he wants to not care that Ruby's being distant, but he thinks they're in a nosedive. And so he wants to know Elena and now Tracy's opinion, if he's overreacting or, screw him because he sucks. So Tracy asks Noel if he apologized yet. Noel says he did. He's like, well, but what would you do? What would you say? And Tracy says, why don't you say, baby, I really am sorry, but I want you in my life. And he's like, I'll do whatever it takes for us to, be together. And Noel says, yeah, Tracy, you're invited back anytime, no matter what happens between the two of you. And so, of course, through all that, we find out that Tracy does not have a girlfriend, which screws Elena over more because now she can be super attracted to him when they are in lab together.
He seems so cool. I can't wait to see more of him. He seems so chill.
Then he was just like watching Noel go back and forth, like, what is this dude on?
Yeah, he's a different character from, both Noel and Ben. He's much less intense than either one of them. So that's kind of nice.
That's true.
It's nice to see something different. A dude just be chill.
What is that?
What's that like?
So then Felicity meets with her mom, who tells her that Felicity can ask her anything she wants, but know that certain questions aren't going to have clear answers. She tells her that there's no other man, there's no horrible secret. She's just trying to figure out who she is. Asks, why can't you do that with Dad? And Barbara doesn't really have a good answer. She's like, I don't know, I just can't. But Felicity says, like, isn't that just a relationship? Like, you have difficulties and you deal with it together. Explain it to me. Like, what is the issue? Says that she's been in Dr. Porter's shadow since the day she met him. So Felicity's like, well, then why even get married? Barbara doesn't know what to say. And Felicity, I guess it just kind of dawns on her. She's like, were you pregnant? Barbara casts her eyes down, waits a beat too long, says that there are so many reasons. There were so many reasons why we got married, and Felicity just, covers her eyes, starts crying, big gulp. Oh, boy. Yeah. Probably wouldn't have said, like, there's so many reasons. I don't know. Just.
She's trying to soften that blow. Like, be like, yes. Yes, period.
But it almost makes it worse.
That's not her style to keep it all the way real, so why would she do that now?
That was a heavy
she didn't have
bomb.
Therapy.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara hasn't had therapy with Dr. Pavone, so she's not ready to be honest. She's going to say the sugarcoat of, well, there's so many reasons. Like, okay, sure, whatever you say, Ma. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I also think it's interesting. I think it was the Thanksgiving. Yeah, family affairs. I was mentioning that, like, Felicity might be more like her parents than she thinks she is.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And here's another scene where Barbara's like, I'm trying to figure out who I am. And, like, literally Felicity at the beginning of this episode is like, I don't know who I am anymore. So it's an interesting parallel that, like, both of them feel lost and, like, they're trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing and why they are the way they are and who they are. And, I thought it was an interesting parallel. I'm like, oh, yeah, again, Felicity's more like her mom than she thinks, than both her parents.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sucks, though, because one's, like, 37 and one's 18, so there's kind of a big difference. Like, you shouldn't probably know who you are when you're 18, but you probably should, quote unquote, should if you're 37 or something. So that sucks for Barbara.
Yeah.
I appreciated this scene, though, because it gave us a little more insight into why they are getting a divorce. Because it was like Felicity said, every time we saw them together, like, we never would have thought that would happen. So if they didn't include this scene, I think that still would have left a lot of confusion about why this was going on in the first place. I mean, people, grow apart and whatnot, but even as hard as it was for her to hear, I think it's helpful for her to know that. Like,
exactly.
I do think Barbara, though, could have been like, but you are the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of saying something like, yeah, that's why we got married, but, like, I never would take it back. Like, marriage or not, like, I still would have maybe softened it instead of just being like avoiding. I maybe would have been like, you aren't a mistake. Even if the marriage didn't work out, you are not a mistake. But
that would have been cool. But I don't think Barbara can even access all of that. Like, because I think she's so much in her head and how she's lost that she couldn't perceive that was fucking up Felicity so bad. Like,
that's
sad.
enough
to perceive to be like, oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't just because of you. Like, but not to take that extra step. I think she's just Barbara's got too much in her head to
in it right now.
Yeah, she's going through it, so she can't be as supportive as she could if she wasn't.
So then, as we mentioned, Felicity now goes to the basketball court where Ben's playing again. Maybe he should try out for the basketball team since swim is canceled.
Yeah, good one, girl.
Seems to like basketball now all of a sudden. And now Felicity tells Ben, so let's drop out. And the way the music was like swelling, we were getting to this moment. She said, so let's drop out. He just kind of smiles and does tosses the basketball, whatever you call
Sweet
it.
smile.
I was kind of expecting, though, like a big kiss moment.
No.
Watching it this time around, it felt like a, just run up and kiss her because he was excited. That's what I was expecting. The way they were building up to that. I don't know.
That would have been too intense for this episode. We can't handle all that stuff going on at once. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, if she's going through like some mental crisis and then she like falls into his arms type of thing, like that's not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like it would just be like trauma bonding kind of bullshit stuff. Like that's not cute. It's not as romantic. Like she's like a damsel in distress and he swoops in and kisses her. Like, no, like let her stand on her own 2 feet for a minute.
Kiss isn't going to save her. It's just nice.
Theatrically, it would save her.
Okay.
Yeah. But speaking of Ben playing basketball, maybe that's like how he copes. Instead of going to therapy, he works out. Like people exercise, and he plays sports. He does sports. So like that, he's physically works things out versus like verbally.
Yeah.
Because he played basketball before, right? Like after the robbery, right? Didn't you just?
Oh, was it?
I think so. Like, because we've seen him play basketball at other times, and it feels like he kind of like goes to play basketball or something when he's.
I remember scenes
struggling.
where he's like, "I'm gonna go for a run." I don't remember the basketball yet, but
whether it's basketball or a run or whatever, it's like that seems to
running, swimming,
keep him steady.
Yeah. So yeah, now that she thinks she was a mistake, she wants to drop out again. Forgot Pavone's advice already. So then we see Noel and Ruby together. He's apologizing with Tracy's script that he gave him. She's like, "That's nice." So then he's like, "All right, Ruby, what's really going on here? Like, whatever it is, we'll get through it." She says she's late, and she's never late. Noel says, "How late?" She says 5 days, but it's probably nothing. I thought I got my period like 5 times today. Like, oh, that solves everything. Okay. So then he says again, like, no matter what, we're gonna be okay. She says, "I know." And that's all we get. And I just want to say I hate this. I hate pregnancy storylines that are like, like unplanned pregnancy. It just feels very lazy to me. Like, let's cause drama, unplanned pregnancy. I dislike this, but
I don't like planned pregnancy, so I really don't like this.
Hey.
Oh, it shows. I don't like it's contrived, like it's lazy, like we're like Family Ties, like they've got like teenage kids and then all of a sudden they have this like
there's
baby
always
out
a
of
random
nowhere, like,
kid down the line. Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Or
like,
on
I
Friends.
don't want to see this shit.
Ross
like,
and
you
Rachel.
didn't have to fucking do that.
Yeah.
Ross and Rachel.
Every show
back
has
and forth
it.
and back and forth. And then like season 8, well, I don't know what to do anymore. Let's have Rachel have a surprise baby with Ross. Like 25-year-old spoiler. But like, it's just so lazy. And I'm like, really? They just started dating. They're in college. Like, I just feel like shows make it seem more like this happens more frequently than it really does in real life. And that really pisses me off, especially for young people. Because it's like in Mean Girls when they have the gym teacher be the sex ed teacher and is like, if you have sex, like you will get chlamydia and you'll get pregnant and then die. Like it just feels like fear mongering, like, oh, if you have sex in college, you're going to get pregnant and the world's going to be over.
If they did have a pregnancy storyline, I think it would have been more interesting because I was thinking about this. I'm like, when's the last time Felicity was even doing any RA stuff? Because they have been more about, like, obviously her own personal thing. But I'm like, wait, isn't she an RA? Like, nobody's asking her for anything. Like, she has not been burdened by any of her residents, like, asking her for shit. Because they've been focusing on her, and that's fine. But so it would have been interesting if one of her residents had a pregnancy storyline instead of Ruby.
I would be fine without anyone having that.
Yeah.
Same.
How many pregnancy storylines are on 90210?
Well, there's one with Brenda. And
yeah, but she wasn't pregnant in the end, or
she wasn't.
What?
She wasn't. No. They did that because the network was just like, women can't have sex and like it, so you better give her a fucking problem. So that's why they did that. Oh, spoiler alert! Andrea got pregnant.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh!
So,
how did I forget?
Dare you?
So that was the whole thing because she had to not go to Yale or Harvard or wherever the fuck she was gonna go.
Yeah,
like totally derailed her shit.
And we already had Julie's birth mom. Like enough. Like they make it seem like 2 out of 3 people this happens to, and it's too much.
It did happen to my college roommate.
Don't say that.
Sorry.
It's real. It is real.
It does happen, but I feel like they make it seem like it happens way more often. Like if every show has this story, like even Joey and Pacey, like when she had a scare, like there's always a scare, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too much.
People do get scares a lot in real life. I mean, I think that's pretty grounded. I don't think that's wild. I mean, that's pretty realistic to get scares at least.
I don't know. I feel like there's so many options these days.
Yeah, and people are flawed humans and they don't use them all.
Okay, fine.
There's human error.
Never mind. This is a very realistic storyline and arc for Ruby and Noel. Even though we even see them, she like pulls out the condom when they're finally, or no, was it not their first time? It was before she was going to Hollywood. Like we see them being safe. So that's, yeah, I get pissed. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a little over the top.
And they're cute together. I like them. Anyway. Okay.
I did too.
So then at Pavone's, now Felicity is telling her that she's going to Vienna. So Pavone asks why Vienna. She says, why did you come here if you're leaving? Like, did you want me to talk you out of going to Vienna? Felicity says, no. Like, well, good, because I won't talk you out of it. It's like, great, I don't want you to. So Pavone asks Felicity how it went with her folks. Felicity just says, bad. She doesn't want to talk about it. But Pavone's like, come on, you came all the way here. You can't just say you don't want to talk about it. Like, you're here. So then Felicity says, horrible bad. Like, she hadn't felt that way in a long time since she was a kid. So Pavone presses her, and she explains that when she was little, she went to ballet camp. It was a sweet sleepaway camp, and she absolutely hated it. She came home early because of it. And when she got home, she saw and realized that her mom had been sleeping in the guest room. And Barbara saw that Felicity saw and was embarrassed, but Felicity didn't say anything about it. So she said she felt so uncomfortable, and it was that same horrible feeling at dinner. So then she, I guess later at dinner, told her parents how much she loved ballet camp just to change the subject and make it all better. And everything was normal again after that. Except Felicity then went to ballet camp the next 4 summers. So Dr. Pavone then says, it's a hard job, isn't it, keeping the family happy? Felicity says, I think that might be it, why she came to New York City. Pavone says, well, yeah, who wouldn't want to break from that? Says, so why Vienna? Felicity says, I don't know. I just feel so lost here. Pavone says, well, you know the thing about being lost? You can be lost anywhere. And that's my Inksty Away message of the week.
So wise.
It is. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you go, there's another say. It's like everywhere you go, you're there.
There you are.
There you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're still in Vienna. You're still in Prague, wherever you go.
I thought it was interesting that they brought up that whole, she caught her mom sleeping in the guest room thing and how she was keeping them together. Because she seemed really surprised at the beginning when they talked about they were getting divorced. But now we're seeing like these little tidbits of things that she had picked up on. So it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but she ignored them and suppressed them and worked to overcome them by like being like, yeah, it was great. So
yeah,
it was just so natural to her probably to observe whatever she was observing and just try to fix it by being like a little girl.
And then go to ballet camp the next 4 summers, even though you hated it. God.
And be like, I'm going to Stanford, I'm going to pre-med and da-da-da-da. Like, I mean, yeah, pre-med's basically the substitute for ballet camp.
If I just keep them happy, everything will be fine.
Yep. Oof. So she would think going to New York would have dissolved that because she thought that was a fix, just like she thought going to ballet camp would fix everything. Like that's like, putting Band-Aids on this over and over and over again.
And why she would think that it's selfish to go where she wants to go to school instead of where her parents go. Interesting.
Right. Well, they didn't do anything to help that because I don't know how much they were acknowledging that. But like you said, even like at dinner and her dad could have been like, hey, I let it slip, sorry. And not have had Felicity have to pretend when she talked to her on the phone that she didn't know because he didn't want to take heat from Barbara. So he was protecting his own emotional state. Like, I don't want to have to deal with her being angry at me. So I'm just going to let my daughter feel like a mess for a whole week. Yeah. Yeah, so that's fucked up. And Barbara not being able to be like, oh, you're the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I wouldn't change anything, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're not perfect parents. Like, they're not. Like, they're just regular people.
Yeah. So then the porters stopped by Felicity's room because they heard from Megan that she was packing for Vienna.
She ratted her out. Fucking snitch.
Like, your daughter's packing for Vienna. But Felicity tells them that she's not going to Vienna. She was, but decided not to. So her parents were happy to hear that. They were worried. But her parents say to Felicity that they wish it didn't have to be so hard on Felicity, but they both love her. And she says she loves them too. And hugs Barbara goodbye because she's still leaving on her flight that night. So then back at the basketball court, Felicity tells Ben that she can't go to Vienna. Ben said that he figured he could tell her heart wasn't in it. She asks if he's going to go, and he says, no, not without you. So he's like, well, I guess I got to go see stinky Dr. Pavone now. But he still thinks, oh, our trip? Maybe this summer. ... And then actually what I really loved was then he throws the ball to her and she shoots hoops and they play for a while.
That was cute.
I feel like that's what I want to see before we had Ben say I think you were wrong, Sean. I want to be with Felicity now after Maggie. I want to see more of them building the friendship back up and more of those moments before he had the realization. So I liked that we're still seeing some of that, even though we know he kind of has feelings again or wants to be with her again. But it still feels more friendship-y rather than he's pursuing her.
Yeah.
And that was nice that both of them came at the end, both parents, because they were able to not be bickering and be like, okay, something's up. She's trying to flee the country. She's not just going across the country this time. She's trying to leave the entire fucking country. So we should probably put our shit aside and go see what's going on. And they were able to do that. So that was cool. And I think that's why she was okay. They took care of her in that moment and were it's okay. We love you. It's fine, whatever. And then she was able to go shoot hoops nothing happened. She felt okay.
And now she doesn't have to
She had some reassurance.
And go to
Vienna.
She
just needed a little bit of reassurance. And then she didn't have to run away because they reassured her enough. They provided enough holding space for her to not feel like she had to run away. That's all you had to do, fuckers.
The other thing I like about this episode is it almost feels the reverse of the pilot where, Ben's kind of he's not really trying to convince her or play hardball, not like Noel's speech where it's you must stay in New York or perish, right? But, he's I can't wait to see New York when it snows. And I like that in this one, Felicity's kind of trying to get him to stay, again, not really forcefully, but I just like that the script was kind of flipped with the two of them in this one because now he was the one thinking of leaving, but he didn't.
Doesn't want to go without her.
That's sweet.
Love that.
Okay. Are you ready for my theory?
I was just going to ask them, where is it?
Okay.
We're at the end. There's no more episode left.
So you know how weird the last episode was? With all the whole, cutting out the hearts thing, and that was just so bizarre, and, why did they place it where they placed it? Why the fuck wasn't it a Halloween one or a Valentine's Day one? Why was it where it was? And I think it's because of the strong emotions that she had in this episode, the anger, because, she was saying in the other episode, I don't want to cut my heart out. I'd rather feel heartbreak than feel nothing at all. And this is it's better to feel angry than feel nothing at all. So that's my rationale for the placement. It made a little bit more sense to me as I was watching. I was like, oh, feelings, powerful, strong feelings that are uncomfortable. Oh, wait, where did we just see that?
Feel all the feels.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, that's part of the human experience. So it's okay to feel anger. It's valuable to feel anger, just like it's okay to feel heartbreak. Neither one of those things is going to kill you, so you don't have to cut your entire heart out over it. These are survivable experiences.
Wow.
I know.
think that's the perfect place to end it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think that's the whole show. It's okay to feel love, anger, jealous, all the emotions she goes through in college. That's just a part of life and it's okay.
Yep.
Love that.
Good,
Well,
because I had a
that
whole speech
is-
prepared about the value of anger. It is a valuable feeling to have. As I mentioned before, it's a clue, it's information, and especially to let us know when our boundaries have been crossed. So that's why it's exceptionally valuable, so we can know, hey, I might need to stand up for myself right now, or hey, I might need to set a boundary, or hey, maybe that person's not good for me, or whatever it is, It's a clue that something's wrong, that you've been wronged.
It also just dawned on me while you're saying that. Interesting, because I feel like anger is maybe the one emotion that Ben does show from time to time. and it's like the one emotion she represses. And that's also really interesting. That like maybe he taps into that too much and doesn't access his other feelings, and like she doesn't access that one enough. I don't know.
This is why they're perfect puzzle pieces.
I know.
In that argument.
They're definitely
You walked into that one.
I mean, I know what I know.
They need each other. They balance each other out.
They do.
They do.
Great. Well, I'm gonna go tap into my inner anger, and
my work here's done.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review and help us spread the word. We appreciate you and would love to hear from Felicity superfans like us. So send us your feedback, ask us your burning questions, or just say hey at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. We may even read your note in a future episode.